Honorable Makitalu, Honorable Satyajit, Honorable Justice Kairu, my friend Twali Barak, the Solicitor General, Honorable Directors of Public Prosecution, distinguished development partners present here, regional and international delegates, Nurin, the Director of Public Prosecution Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I want to believe we are still in the morning session. I am glad and privileged to join you at this very important forum, the International Association of Prosecutors, 4th Regional Conference of Africa and the Indian Ocean, the first ever to be held in East Africa alongside the East African Association of Prosecutors Extraordinary General Meeting. I think this is very significant. That being the first conference in this region, it gives us immense opportunity to reflect back and see the journey we've traveled in as far as criminal justice system is concerned. I know as a Cabinet Secretary Treasury, sometimes very difficult to get time out of the routines. But the fact I'm here is basically for 3 reasons. 1, having closely worked with Nordin and his team for the last 3 years, I have seen immense transformation of that organization. From being, an organization that is either opaque or unknown to many Kenyans, to a very open system where the public have now confidence to interact with them at will and to also look forward to engaging them. I have seen, partly also, of course, of my relationship with Nordin, I happen to have quite a bit of insight of the development journey they have traveled and the vision they have, and that we've been close partners in ensuring that their dreams come true. I also had an opportunity to represent this country as a permanent representative to Vienna. And I closely worked with UNODC. And therefore, some kind of reflection and remembrance of my time in Vienna 12 years ago. And that's why I said I wouldn't miss this occasion. And I said I must be here to share and also learn, and hopefully also meet 1 or 2 persons that I have met in Vienna. But it doesn't appear to be the case, it appears. I acknowledge the presence of many prosecution authority heads, the prosecutors, criminal justice practitioners, and experts from across Africa and the world present here today. Allow me to also take this opportunity to welcome you to Kenya, for those who have been here before or you are being here for the first time, and to the coastal city of Mombasa. Mombasa is our tourist resort. And many times we say, once you are here, the urge to come back as many times as possible is quite compelling. So you come here, we look forward to seeing you once again. The objective of this week's conference is based on effective mechanism for responding to emerging crimes and transnational organized crimes in Africa, which best reflects our international commitments to combating emerging and transnational organized crimes. The conference comes at a critical time for African countries, as the threat we face from emerging and transnational organized crime is evolving. And that's why clearly we need to be ahead of the game. The fact that this conference is quite timely, because sharing experience and lessons from our respective jurisdictions will give us a better and common strategy to stay ahead of the game. Indeed, some of our respective jurisdictions have experienced firsthand the negative impact that transnational organized crimes, such as terrorism and corruption, have on our economy, security, peace, and stability. I think most of us in the region have experienced or continue to experience to a great extent the adverse effect of terrorism, and corruption, which distorts resources and denies the public the opportunity to get better service delivery when the public is actually paying for it. This is a very important moment that we need to now share those lessons and see how best we can deal with them. Transnational criminal networks often constitute a direct threat to our economies by subverting and undermining our legal systems and the rule of law. To a great extent, from time to time, we are being told significant amount of public resources are directed to activities that undermine the state itself. You fund it from your own resources to undermine your institutions. And that's why it's really important that we share and learn from each other. While globalization has enhanced our regional and international interconnectivity and interdependence, it has also increased the prevalence of cross-border criminal enterprises and criminal activities. Anything that has the positive side can actually also be exploited to undermine the same system. And that's why globalization, despite making life easier and making movement of people, services, and goods, also has a potential to transfer criminal activities from one jurisdiction to the other. That's why in the coming years, unless we develop strategies to tackle emerging transnational crimes, we are likely to see this figure rise at the expense of our social and economic development. As a region, we need to adopt bilateral and multilateral agreements, and more so faster enough, with the common objective of investigating and prosecuting emerging transnational crimes, so that collectively we are safer. Because sometimes you can guard yourself with all the walls, thinking that you are safer. But unless the environment, your neighborhood, equally applies the same skills, it is very far, you are unlikely to get that near security. So a collective approach in terms of managing even the movement of this crime and criminal activities is quite important that we have a joint and a common approach. As a reflection of Kenya's commitment to bolster expertise knowledge in the identification and prevention of criminal activity, we have continuously enhanced our budgetary allocation to criminal justice agencies like the ODPP. And I'm happy when opening the first session, the Deputy Dorcas mentioned that, the journey that this organization has traveled the last few years in terms of crafting that level of independence so that they can be masters of their own, dream, rather than being curtailed and restricted by the inability or the access to financial resources, because resource plays a key role in transformation of an organization. This has allowed for the establishment of the ODPP Prosecution Training Institute, which provides continuous training for prosecutors and other criminal justice actors. The institute further serves as an institution for legal development and resource, a key element for the reform and improvement of our prosecutorial practices within the East African region at large. I am sure the institute will greatly benefit the region by also sharing all those required information and reference for future development. I recognize that the ODPP has focused on digitizing their processes through the development and operationalization of an automated case management system to enhance efficiency and contribute to the expeditious disposal of cases. I think the role of ICT digitization cannot be overemphasized because it's an integral part of any activity that we gear towards success. The ODPP's focus on technology is further complemented by enhanced data collection efforts which facilitates the identification of crime trends and hotspot regions, leading to more responsive and cohesive policies in our country and the region. Ladies and gentlemen, while we may be doing our best nationally to combat transnational and emerging crimes, I don't think it's really enough. As mentioned, these crimes are no longer confined to our borders. They are no longer confined to specific localities because our borders are highly porous and people are already always ahead of the government, because that's why research remains very important. We must be ahead of this segment of the population. Within the East African community, harmonization of laws surrounding illicit financial flows has so far culminated in the surrender of sales gold to Tanzania. It's envisioned that these legislative changes will facilitate the continuous exchange of best practices to enhance capacity building of various thematic prosecutorial areas. These measures, which bring together government agencies and the financial sector, will enhance the East African regional strategy for combating money laundering, countering terrorist financing, and countering proliferation financing. Additionally, as the East African region, we have furthered our commitment to enhancing regional cooperation on areas like asset recovery from membership in the Asset Recovery Interagency Network for East Africa, the Asset Recovery Interagency Network for Southern Africa, and the Eastern and Southern Africa Anti-Money Laundering Group. As I conclude, I sincerely thank the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, the African and Indian Ocean Prosecutors, and the East African Association of Africa for graciously hosting this conference that unites criminal justice practitioners and prosecutors from across the world towards finding effective means of combating emerging and transnational organized crimes. I think I just want to continue challenging ODPP to stay on course with the transformation of the organization as they have embarked on for the last few years, because as clearly indicated by speakers before me, the challenges ahead are evolving and becoming more complicated every other day. We must stay ahead of this rather than being vulnerable in a situation that we are not able to help. For those coming to Mombasa and maybe Kenya for the first time, I urge you to, if you get an opportunity, because you hardly get this kind of chance, once you are here, try also to see our region. It was very important because your personal leisure is also sometimes quite significant. Take a bit of time, see our city, with a view of coming back another time. I also want to state here that the economy of any country is quite dependent on a number of things. We may have the necessary ingredients of those sectoral issues, but unless we have a system that is transparent, a system that is accountable, a system that empowers the people, then the whole essence will be lost. I want to thank you very much, and I wish you fruitful deliberation. Thank you very much.